Yo, this is real talk. I am not afraid of what's happening in the pandemic financially because this is not my first financial crisis. And I've been broke before. So
We have definitely been collectively broke.
yes, yes.
And you know what? If I had to be broke with anybody, I'd want to be broke with you.
You saying that because you've already been broke with me.
Dead ass, baby.
Dead ass. Okay, so this story time takes place about 2 times decades apart. 2009, I told this story before. 2009, come back from the NFL, lose a lot of money during the economic crisis, during the recession. Boom, me and Kadeem move back to our apartment, and we have no money.
None.
I get cut by the NFL. Kadeem is not working. We lose a lot of money in the stock market and in the
Doing
housing
all the
markets.
right things.
Doing all the right things.
Just so you know, we
So I
wasn't
just-
out here throwing, cash in the strip clubs and whatnot.
Exactly.
I mean,
and
we
I'm
threw a
not
little
buying
cash.
chains, buying cars. You did throw a little
I
bit
threw
of
a little
cash.
cash,
Yes.
just a little bit.
So I just want to start there so people know that that's where we're coming from. Fast forward 2020. The pandemic starts to happen in March. They start to shut down. And the first thing going through my mind is, how can I pivot? So immediately, I'm thinking about the fact that I probably won't be filming. We won't be able to do any events. We won't be able to do the Deadass podcast tour. Because that was,
heart.
going to be huge for us.
Yes.
And it was, what is the most important thing right now? Digital marketing, digital content. So you know what I did? Decided to sit down and create more content. Put all my finances into a secure place, speak with my financial advisors, and focused on how to recreate myself. And ultimately, that's what I did for the next 3 months.
In the digital
Recreated
space.
who we were in the digital space.
Karaoke time. When we talk about finances, money, dollars, coins, the bag, whatever y'all want to talk about securing.
Your voice automatically get nasal like it
Automatically, I start to think of my girl and her song. So, just now, hey, I was born to flex, diamonds on my neck. I like more than just, I like more than sex.
Yes, you
But
do.
nothing in this world, I like more than checks. Money. All I really want to see is a.
Get it,
I
baby.
don't really need a D, I need the. Oh, hey, I got bands in the coop, busting out the roof. I got
Oh my
bands
gosh.
in the coop. Touch me, I'll shoot. Or maybe I won't, but hey, 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 hey.
Let me tell you
Hey.
something, yo. You do
Hey.
get super excited
Hey.
about spending money.
Hey, I get excited about making it too, though, equally.
So you can spend it.
So, yeah.
I get more excited about making it. I don't really care that much about spending it. I like
I mean,
making it.
a
You
lot
like
has happened. Though.
spending it.
Talk about the shift, though. Talk about the shift because, we had the moment in time, like you said in story time back
Yes.
in 2009,
Yes.
where, we were living a pretty decent life. You
Yes.
were in the NFL. We made the right investments
Yes.
with money. We were doing our thing.
Yes.
And then lost all of that.
Yes.
In doing the right thing. So we
Yes.
went back to rock bottom. And then there was a greater respect that I'd gained as well
Yes.
for having to rebuild. And
Yes.
then through rebuilding now,
Yes.
I got a little Scrooge McDuck in me.
you do.
I do. I will
You
say.
do got a little Scrooge
I got
McDuck
a
in
little
you.
Scrooge McDuck in me. You and I think too are more apt to help others as well too. So it's like, all right,
Absolutely.
and I feel like that's why we continue to be blessed because
Yes.
we're able to create a space and a platform where we can now employ. People
Well-
who were friends, but also professionals, families who are professionals with their respective fields.
Yes.
So I feel like that's why we continue to be blessed. And
Well, look, I've said it on this
I'm
platform
good with
before,
that.
and I've said it to you, that I want to be super rich and famous so that I could help provide opportunities for other people. Like that
sure.
is my goal. I want to be
Absolutely.
super duper rich and famous for that sole purpose.
Right.
Like I want to be able to create jobs, create industries, move markets. I really want to be able to do that, and I want to do that for my people. I want to do that
Facts.
for the people who look like me, or the people who've gone through the struggle that we've gone through. I want to do that. So
No, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I mean, if there's one thing the pandemic taught us, and it's that if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well-
however, Sorry, you were going to say something?
I was going to say, because we normally go back to story time, I was going to expand on story
Yeah, we can
time.
expand on story time, but just to kind of
Go ahead,
preface that
yeah.
and set up the scene or whatever, you stay ready so you don't have to get ready, but we were not prepared for something of this magnitude. Like, let's be real. Who really thought that the entire country, world, for that matter, was going to shut down to the extent that it did?
Well,
You know?
I wasn't prepared for a pandemic. But after going through everything I went through in 2009, I was super prepared for trying to maintain my finances and try to pivot. Like, to me, the pivot was the easiest part because in my mind,
muscle memory for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was also just thinking ahead, like trying to be ahead of the curve. Like you start to say, I can't do this forever.
Yes.
You know, we've been saying that
like, what's
for
next?
the past 3 years. Like,
well, you mean in terms of like our content, for example, vlogging and all that, right?
No, just with everything. I mean,
Okay.
even with the podcast, because we didn't know if we were going to be able to record. We didn't know if we were going to be able to go back into the studio.
Right.
So I'm like, I may not be able to create content forever. What else can I do to generate revenue to provide for my family?
Right.
And I've been thinking about that for the past year. So when the pandemic hit, it was almost like, I've been thinking about different things. So it kind of forced me to move. You know what I'm saying? Look at different industries. How can I make money? How can I do different investments? What what can I do to create some revenue and diversify?
So that's you would say was the main difference for you with 2009 DeVal and
Yes.
2020 DeVal when it comes to finances.
Absolutely, because in 2009 I was playing football thinking that I'm gonna play until I don't want to play no more.
Right.
You never think that it's gonna end before you're ready for it to end. You know, so even though I was tired of playing football, I wasn't ready to be done playing at that moment. I still wanted to make a little bit more money and secure myself financially. But then it came to an abrupt end, and at that time, I had no clue where I was. I was lost. I was depressed. I was mad. I was angry. I blamed everybody. I blamed you. I blamed my agent. I blamed the teams. I blamed the NFL. I blamed my parents. You know, because I couldn't wrap my mind around the fact that I couldn't do what I wanted to do.
Right.
You know, so when this happened, and the first thing that was going through my mind is like, shoot, you know, we can't do the podcast. I can't film. I'm like, man, those are the biggest ways that we make money.
It was absolutely,
and then I'm like, well, brand partnerships.
I thought about different events that I was going to, or supposed to be going to speak or to attend.
Right.
And it was just like, ugh, like you literally think about the money that you have coming because you're planning for that.
Yes.
Which is why my dad actually has always said to me, don't spend your money before you get it.
Absolutely.
Because something may fall through and then you don't have that bag that you thought you secured and it's a whole fumble on the plane and what?
In March.
You know?
Do you remember March?
I remember March.
We made 15% of what our monthly salary usually is. And in March, I was preparing to go back to Film Sisters, and we didn't know when that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So we were preparing our 2020 year based on our first two months.
Right.
January, February.
Or based on the year before.
And the year before, right.
Right.
So then that number goes down to 15%, and then it's like, how long is this gonna last?
Just like, if anything, that incremental increase should have been 15%.
Absolutely.
Not making 15% of your month. You know what I mean?
And that hurt, but
yeah,
because of where I was before, I had always put money aside. And this is just a tip I'm gonna give you guys. When you're making money, I was putting money aside so that we could survive 2 years without either one of us working.
Right.
So that if worst case scenario, something happened and we could not work for 2 years, we could at least pay our mortgage, pay our rent, pay our car notes.
Right. Whatever those
kids,
monthly expenses
all those monthly expenses are covered. Put
Right.
that in a separate account. So I just knew. And what I'm doing now continuously is I'm adding to that account.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, we could exist 2 years. Oh, we're making more money. Let's add 3 years. Let's
Right.
add 4 years. Okay, we could exist 5 years without doing anything because we have money in savings.
Right.
You know, we would have to live modestly. You know, but the thing is, we could still live the way we were. So after
that
the
emergency
NFL
fund
Yes.
became like
very important.
In case of emergency fund was actually an emergency.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So when I spoke a little bit about how I was able to save 2 years worth of costs, what I did was I did the math. So I calculated all of our monthly expenses and I minimized them to survival mode. Like so I'm like, so if there's a point where we're not working, all the extra stuff, I'm not even going to factor in it. I'm going to put it in survival mode. And then on top of the survival mode, I added an additional 20% for incidental, accidental things. So as we started to make these lump sums of cash, what I did was I started to take out those lumps, almost like I was paying myself a 401k.
Right.
Rather than just putting it in my account, I put it automatically in an emergency fund. And I started at 3 months. I want to be able to do it for 3 months. And then after I had 3 months, I said, okay, let's do it for 6 months. And before I knew it, over the past 2 to 3 years, I was able to save 2 years worth of income for us that we could live off of.
Right.
So it was just like a savings plan, a saving strategy I had for myself, the same way we did for saving for the house. And we were making, because we make money differently than a lot of people. Some people, you know, you work a 9 to 5, you get paid every other week. So you know what your salary is going to be. Because you and I are both private contractors, we get paid large sums of money in like a 4-month span.
Random spurts, yeah.
So as we get those random spurts, I always put money away to make sure that we can survive for the next couple of months.
Right. I think too what helps with, like, for example, when I was working a 9 to 5 job, and just like you have that security of knowing like every other week you're going to have that money hitting your account, or weekly, whatever your job does. So it becomes a little different when you make money in spurts. You kind of have to forward think and plan ahead. And as an entrepreneur too, it's always very difficult because, you know, there's really never a point when you have to clock out. You can't rely on vacation time. You can't rely on, you know, family leave or things like that, and know that the money will automatically come either way. So that definitely is a challenge. I'm glad you forward thought that, bro, because listen,
always,
you know what I mean?
Always.
I be taking care of all the other stuff in the house, so at least you're good with like the math and the money part of it, and I trust that you're gonna have it set up and everything. So so many people experience job loss and financial stress following the coronavirus outbreak, and how can we better prepare ourselves financially in anticipation for another global crisis? Since mid-March, the coronavirus pandemic has taken a toll on life as we know it, and the world has not only been impacted physically by the effects of the virus, but because of mandates that we quarantine at home, the economic impact has been devastating. Millions of Americans have suffered a loss of income and employment over the better part of the year with no end in sight. And in August, about 3.3 million people aged 25 and over with bachelor's degrees or higher were unemployed, up 1.2 million since February, and that's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yes.
So, you know, we need all the help right now. We need all the help. We need to figure out what are some ways that we can strategically put ourselves into a position financially to kind of overcome this and get our footing underneath us again. So joining us again on Dead Ass Podcast. We're always
She's a dead ass regular.
Let me tell you, she is just a regular with us. Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista as we know her best, is back to help us make sense of this financial impact of COVID-19, the pandemic, and what we can do to combat those effects. Tiffany, what's up, sis?
Hey,
What's up? What's
glad
up?
to be back.
Let me tell you, anytime I be talking about that money, all the need and the money, I said, let me call Tiffany because she knows what TF to do.
Yes.
Okay? How have you been, girl, since the last time we spoke?
I've been good, though. I mean, I'm lucky, blessed, highly favored. Everyone is healthy, so that's what matters most. So I've been good. What about y'all?
We've been good. We've been good. Just, you know, like everyone's doing now, trying to find ways to pivot and plan accordingly. You know, Kadeen and I talk all the time, and I say, you know, the biggest empires are built during times of catastrophe.
Yes.
So right now is a catastrophe. So whoever's prepared will probably come out on top of this. So I want to take this time and use our platform to help as many listeners as possible plan their come up. So you're the best person to talk to, especially as an entrepreneur. Right now, the entrepreneurial spirit is probably the greatest spirit in America because so many people have lost traditional jobs. Those who are able to make additional funds, the entrepreneurs are the ones who are able to capitalize. So, Tiffany,
depending on the field,
talk to the people and tell us what we need to be doing.
Well, that's, I'm sure, a loaded question for you, Tiffany. I mean, you can unpack that however you'd like, telling us where the hell to start.
Well, I'll say this, that I actually built the Budgetnista, which is now 8 figures a year. Woo, woo.
Okay.
During the pandemic, we had our first 7-figure month, a second 7-figure month, a third 7-figure month. So now we're 8 figures a year. So, but I built the Budgetnista during the last recession, 2008, 2009. So to y'all point, that it's times like this are when most millionaires are made, quite honestly. And the thing is, what you're seeing is something that could have been anticipated, not the pandemic, not Corona, but the recession.
Right.
Because, so first things first, is if I had to say, what I would have told, I'm going to share what I wish I would have told. Well, I was a preschool teacher back then, what I would have told preschool teacher Tiffany back then.
Okay.
Right. So first things first is to understand if it happen again. Right. Because every 10 to 15 years in the US of A, we have a recession.
Yes.
So meaning that, so you're feeling this now, you're like, oh my goodness, it's such unique times. The pandemic, yes. A recession, no. We will be back here, but how will it meet you?
Yes.
How will it meet you?
Right. And I mean, it makes sense because 2009 was when the economic crisis hit when Obama became president. And that's when Kadeen and I were going. And I remember feeling at that time like, this is the worst thing to ever happen. I'm not making any money. And then when 2020 hit in the recession, just like I was prepared, I was like, okay, I've been here before. It's time to utilize that capital that I had been saving for something.
Differently. 2009 versus now.
First things first, I would have told Tiffany back then is that, girl, where is your savings? Right? So when you do get on your feet, because you will not always be in this position, I need people to set aside ideally 6 months of what I call your noodle budget. Like that is if I had to eat ramen noodles budget. Sometimes you gotta drop down and get your noodle on.
I love it.
No, for real.
Daddy, get your noodle on.
For real.
Yes. I love that.
Right? So that's just your bare bones essential budget. So let's just say your regular budget includes nails, hair, movies, Netflix, all that stuff. Your noodle budget just pays for the necessary expenses. Because if you were to lose your job, you should pivot to your noodle budget right away. It's a temporary, low-cost life. That's what your noodle budget is.
So you were ahead of the curve.
So you want to have 6 months of that set aside. Because imagine if you would have had 6 months of your noodle budget set aside and you lost your job, say, January, March, April, right? April. Yeah. So then you would have had April, May, June, July, August, September. You would have just now been running out of money. Yeah. You would have had some time to pivot and figure something out.
Right.
Yeah. So that's first things first. Second thing, during times like this, I tell people that not to go overboard with paying off so much debt if you don't have your savings or if you think your job is like in limbo, right? If I was a doctor or a nurse right now, I'm not worried, right? But if I was, I work for a restaurant and maybe we just open back up again, but you just don't know which way it's gonna go,
right?
Or I work for my sister's an engineer. She worked for party planning, like they do these these big events company where she as an engineer has to figure out like the configuration of like the things that they would build for people's parties, right? So she's like, it's likely not gonna happen that I'm going back. You know?
Right.
So, knowing that that's happening, I don't want people to go overboard with paying off debt because you need to keep that money
that capital
close to you.
Right.
Because you're going to need to pay for food, clothing, where you live. You're going to need to pay for your noodle budget expenses. And third, what I would tell people, and I wish I knew this because I bought a condo when I was 25. I thought it was grown. I was like, hey, you can't tell me nothing, right? My little 2-bedroom, one bath condo. And then when I was 29, my school closed its doors during the recession. It was a nonprofit based school. They didn't have any funding. And I continued to pay the mortgage. I mean, I used all my savings to pay the mortgage. I withdrew all the money from my retirement account to pay the mortgage because I was like, oh no, I'm gonna pay this mortgage. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. And guess what happened? I lost the house anyway. So now they got my retirement money. They got my savings. They have everything. Right. I have no house and no money. And I wish I would have told Tiffany then, like, that you are more important than your debt. That instead, if you don't think 100% you could save this house, if you don't think 100% that this house you'll be able to maintain it and keep it, then keep your money, sis.
And let it
either
go.
Way, it's going to end it. Yes. And I could at least let it go and had my retirement money. Let it go and maintain my savings. I put all my bills above my best interest.
You see, that's
so
and
I was
left
with
and that's I probably would have did the same thing.
No, I think that's important to talk about because we have been so conditioned to like not let things go.
Right.
So for example, I remember when my boy Bilal, when he was going through a little bit of economic issue and he was working hard, but he had a condo. He bought his first condo at 23, same thing in Connecticut. And he had told me during the economic crisis, he said, bro, I'm about to let this condo go. And I remember saying, what?
Right.
I'm like, you can't just stop paying.
Credit. Like,
I'm like, you can't. He said, my credit's going to get fixed. Yeah. But I can't just give them all my cash and then probably lose it a couple years later. Yeah. And when he told me that, and once again, he's he works for BlackRock. He's in finances, so he understands the importance of debt to cash flow. And I never understood that. And I wanted to ask you, how does someone decide what's the important amount of debt and cash flow to maintain? Is it how much they make per month? How does someone decide what number makes sense for them?
One, you have to decide whether you have regular cash flow, right? So this is a job that's going to continue to pay me. I'm pretty certain the money's not going anywhere.
Okay.
Like I said, if I was a doctor or a nurse right now, I would be pretty certain something crazy would have to happen for me to lose my job, right? So knowing like, okay, my cash flow, let's just say $5,000 a month, is pretty secure, right? And so your debt that leaves out of the house, right? So that's your debt to income ratio. This is actually what mortgage people look at. They look to see how much your monthly income is versus how much your monthly debt payments are. Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And so they don't want more than I think it's like 40% of your income to be leaving before your mortgage, because they also like between 40 to 50%, because they also know that your house is going to cost you about 30%.
Right.
So they're like, okay, if we use up 30 and you're already using up 40 to 50%, that leaves you 30 for the rest. That leaves you an additional 20 to 30 for the rest of your life. Is that reasonable? And so, and so ideally the lower your debt, the better. That's what I tell people, like, save your debt for things like a mortgage, for things like, like maybe you had to pay off, I don't know, you had some sort of health thing that you had to pay for. Right. Save your debt for, I don't even like really people getting financing a car, but sometimes you just can't help it because you got to get to work. Yeah. Right. Like when you have a lamp bill, you got a side table bill, a couch bill. That's when you swipe your card. So now you have all this debt for things that could wait. Yeah. That's really the issue. Most people's debt is not because of this. It's like their big bills. It's like, oh, my laptop. Oh, I had to get that side table. Oh, but the Yeezys came out, so I had to swipe the card. So I'm like, you got a Yeezy bill, right? You're like, and so before you know it, all the money that comes in is dedicated to someone else. Right. So you want to be mindful of that flow. Like, how much money do I have coming in versus how much money am I actually keeping? That's actually what they call your savings rate. Right. What percentage of your money are you keeping? That's what's critically important. Savings rate. Like, I would never tell Oprah, you can't get Yeezys, because I'm certain that the amount of money that she has coming in versus what she has coming out, there's a huge significant difference. Right. Preschool teacher Tiffany, I think I was making like, I want to say 20, maybe like take home pay, maybe like $3,000 a month, maybe $2,600 to $3,000 a month. And so I had to be mindful, like, okay, well, what is going to be my savings rate? Right. Ideally, I wanted 30% of my money to stay with me, 20% for investing and retirement, and then 10% for savings. So how do I live under that 70%? If you did that first, if you paid yourself first in that way, if you said, okay, especially for y'all who are really young, you're just stepping out, getting your first job. This is what I do with my bonus baby. She's 13 and she don't even know. She just got her little side job. She's babysitting and stuff. I'm finna snatch some of that money. I'm like, oh, you got money? Oh, that's cute. 30% of it, put it up, because I want to teach her that you are more important than any of your bills.
Pay yourself first.
Put up your 30% first, and then you figure out your life with that 70%.
You're going to do her like your dad did you, remember?
I know, like my dad did me, exactly, because she don't know nothing about that life, right? She living way nicer than I was living. Right?
That's generations. That's how it is. Generations. They always going to be better.
She gets the Jordans. I'm like, oh, you got 3 pairs of Jordans? Oh,
last
girl,
time I checked,
I just got Jordans as a grown person. I'm
right,
like, oh,
over here too. I was like, wait a second, I'm all of a sudden a sneakerhead now. And I mean, I'm not about sneakers. I can actually afford sneakers now.
Well, time out. Yeah. You got Jordans because you didn't get Jordans because your parents are from the West Indies. And
what that got to do with anything?
That you were spoiled in other ways. Not having Jordans.
So I was spoiled, I just wasn't stylish.
You wasn't stylish.
Yes, exactly.
But you was mad spoiled, son.
They didn't know. Okay. My dad was like, who's Jordan? Who's Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan. I'm like, but we did have like tennis lessons and stuff, right?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. This, right? But so this is what I tell. This is not just what I tell like my mentees, but also even grown folks. I was listening to this podcast interview with what's his face, Dame Dash, right? Mm-hmm. And he said something that was so profound. I'm like, yo, if I got a tattoo, it would be that. It's that the purpose of working is to own, so that way the things that you own will eventually put you out of work. peep game.
That's what I tell Jackson.
Yes.
Why do we go to
That
work?
you're not-
To build
because-
capital.
Yes.
Why do you build capital?
Yes.
To make your money work for you. Me
Yes.
and Jackson say
Because
that every
it's not-
night.
I love that because here's what happens. What most people do: they work, they pay bills. They work, they get a haircut. They work, they go out. They work, they have fun. They work, they work, they work.
Yeah.
But there's no end to that cycle.
You're just working.
If you don't, yes, if you're not intentional with, I am working to own assets. Assets put money into your pocket. So assets are cash. Assets are home. Assets are real estate. Assets are like maybe art. Even jewelry
Right.
can be assets, right?
Right.
So things that assets are business.
Right.
So
Things that
you're
have
working
appreciation
to
value.
Purchase
Yeah.
exactly. So that way, one day, that real estate property that you bought, that business that you have, that cash, that you can live off of the assets that you now that asset is put to work and you can sit down. But most people work to work. They don't work to own. And if they thought about that from the very beginning, they'd be in a better spot.
See, but this is where people get Dame confused because Dame talks down on people who, you have a boss. You have a boss. I never had a boss. He said, and I remember he got into an argument with DJ Envy, and DJ Envy was like, okay, you never had a boss, but you sold drugs. You worked for somebody. And he was like, nah, I got my drugs on consignment. Okay, dude. It doesn't matter whether you got the drugs on consignment. Technically, there was someone above you who allowed you to generate cash flow.
Right.
And where I really rock with Dame is where I agree with him. You really only work to create cash flow so that you can own something that creates cash flow for you.
Yes.
That is the goal. And I think that's what people need to understand. And I think that's what Black people need to understand. Because even my mom's generation, my dad's generation, your parents, having a good job was the American dream to them.
That's it.
I got a good job. I can retire at 65. I got my pension.
Clock my hours.
Yep.
That was never the American dream. The
No.
American dream is ownership.
Yep. Which we didn't have access to readily available.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, who's going to
So all they knew was that. And I can
loans?
understand that. Oh, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer. That my dad, that's all they wanted. Doctor,
Yes.
lawyer, pharmacist, engineer.
That's it.
You good to go. But
That's it.
if like now they're like, my Tiffany said it's an entrepreneur. I'm like, yeah, now that I pay off your house, right? Now your house is paid off.
Now
you get
that's
your
cute.
allowance every month.
That's
Right
cute.
now the entrepreneur is cute. A minute ago it was she ain't got no job.
Girl.
Oh my gosh.
Let me tell you, your father and my father should meet and have a drink because they are the same person. And I still, to this day, it wasn't till the pandemic happened and my father was quarantined with us. Both of my parents were living with us for the 4 months that we were like really locked down. And, you know, my dad saw us like pulling up the ring light and the cameras and this and that. And he's just like, so wait. You record the thing and then put it on YouTube? What does this do? That make you money? I'm like, yes. Who does pay you? You have a boss on YouTube? I'm like, no, we don't have a boss on
Yes.
YouTube. But, you know,
I love
he just
that.
could not
He
wrap
didn't
his
wrap
mind
around
around
it,
that
Yes.
unconventional way to him of making money.
Yes.
So here's my
Yes.
thing, right?
Ownership is key.
So I got for you the number one way, pay yourself first. Now, when you say your savings rate
Yes.
30%, are we talking net or gross? I would think net.
Well, I mean, here it can be tricky. I always like at least start with net. I mean, ideally, yes, gross. But if you're just starting out and things are tight, then at least you would start with net because what you're wanting to do is get into the practice of setting aside because
Right.
people think like that it means you're living less of a life when you set aside. That's why I like to start people off slow. Like, oh, you can only do 5%, do that. Or you
Right.
can do 10% of net. Okay, fine. But yes, ideally setting aside 30% of gross. But it can be hard to set aside 30% of gross because guess who also gets gross? The IRS.
IRS. And people
Right?
need to understand
But the
the
way you-
difference between net and gross.
Yes.
Gross is, say for example, if
Yes.
you get paid $10, you made $10. That's gross. Net is the IRS going to take 4 of that $10. So the net.
And FICA and LICA and all them other
Right. And all that stuff. So you about to get $3 out of the $10 you thought you was getting. So
Yes.
that $3 you actually get in your check, that's net. So people need to understand the difference between gross and net. When you're making plans, if you're making plans on gross, understand that other people are going to get part of that money first. So I just want to be clear.
Well,
to the people.
here's how you can offset that. That's the beauty of a tax advantage retirement account, right? So if you do a 401k, you can set aside 20% of your gross. Because that is the one thing the IRS allows you to do.
Yes.
And they'll say, Kadeem, Deval, you guys made $10. Wait, before we take our tax money, do you want to put some in your 401k?
Yes.
Because guess what? We don't want to take care of you when you get old.
Facts.
Like, yes, of the 10, I would like to put $2 in my 401k. Then the IRS says, fine, we will not tax you on 10. We will tax you on 8.
There you go.
And so that it lowers your taxes now. So then what happens is, but later, anytime if you're over 59 and a half, then you can start withdrawing that money without any penalty, and you pay taxes on it later.
Right.
Right. So then there's another tax advantage account called a Roth IRA. It is also a retirement account, but then that's where you can put some of your net money. Because what happens is you have your take home pay, and then you might say, you know what, I'm going to put the other 5-10% in my Roth IRA account. And that is money that's already been taxed. And the beauty of a Roth account is that the money was already taxed. You put money in that account. And then when 59 and a half or above, you pull that money out, you don't have to pay taxes on that money or what it grew to. So if you put in 10,000 and it's now 60,000, that whole 60, you ain't got to worry about it. You don't have to pay taxes on it because you pay taxes on the money going in.
That's huge.
So this is like, so people always wonder like what you should do first, second. So I suggest a seesaw. Well, first, let me say this. I'm a financial educator. I'm your financial girlfriend. I'm not your financial advisor.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
What I'm sharing, I'm just sharing in general. This is like my attorney, right? So what I'm sharing are just the things that I do
that you do.
Your grandma.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
There you go.
All right. Now, so if you're like, because someone asked me this the other day, where should I put my money for retirement? And I said, one, if your company offers a match, then start with your 401k up to that match.
Absolutely.
So if they say, you put in 3% and we'll put in 2%, whatever it is that they'll give you, get your match money there first. And then stop.
It's free money.
Then the excess money, if you still have money left over after getting your match with them, because you're right, your match is free money, then I would max out my Roth. If you're under 50 years old, you could put in $6,000. And here's why I want you to max out your Roth is that you can only have a Roth if you are, I don't know how much, I can't remember how much it is for a couple, but if you're single and you make under $139,000 a year. So you have a limited time frame if you're going to make big money to contribute to a Roth account. Remember, a Roth is when you could pull your money out tax-free later.
Tax-free, no matter how much it grows.
Okay.
Right.
Exactly. So you want to take it. A Roth is awesome. So you want to take advantage. Like I can't do a Roth anymore. Right. So you want to get while the getting is good. So I am 401k first up to the match. If there's no match or you've already maxed out your 401k, go to Roth. And then after you max out your Roth, so it's right now $6,000 a year if you're under 50. If you're over 50, it's 7,000. So if you can't do the Roth or you max out your Roth already, then go back to your 401k if you still have money, and then you can max out your 401k.
Okay.
Man, let me tell you, Tiffany got me over here wondering if Sean is doing all. We got to call our financial advisor and make sure he's on top of it.
Yes, I've already had these conversations.
Can we talk about financial? So here's the thing about financial advisors.
Okay.
So people are like, what's a financial advisor? What's a financial planner? What's a financial, right? So a financial advisor is the overall name of those people who give you advice. Right? Now, there are different types of financial advisors. There could be like an investment advisor who helps you with investing. There could be a planner. But ideally, the ideal type of financial advisor you want is a certified financial planner.
Yes.
That's
because here's why. But certified, that key word is certified.
Yes,
because
CFP.
To be certified, a CFP. They have to have 3 years of experience, and they have to have passed a hard ass test in order, and they have all this vetting in order to be certified, because almost anyone calls themselves a financial advisor.
So people doing their due diligence, finding that board certified plastic surgeon, do the same with your financial advisor, please. So that's a C.
So get yourself a CFP, certified financial plan, and then there's different ways they can get paid. The three main ways are, they make it so confusing. There's fee only, fee-based, commission. I feel like commission is easy. You know what commission is? That just means that if they sell you something like insurance, they get paid off.
They get paid off of that.
That is the worst one, right? Because my dad,
they're gonna sell you everything,
right?
Yes.
What? Because my dad would say, he who pays the piper determines the tune, right? For the young ones, whoever pays the DJ, you get to play. You get to pick the music.
Of course, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
If the financial planner is getting paid from the product, what? They're not thinking about you.
Right.
They worried about what the product gonna pay.
Absolutely.
Them. So commission based, we not for commission based. Next is this is what I have. I have fee only, my CFP. So fee only is ideal because when you have someone who's fee only, it means they only get their fee from you.
Absolutely, which
That
means you are the
means
interest.
you are paying the
There
DJ.
you go.
Yes.
And they have a fiduciary. Yes, that means that they are a fiduciary, meaning that by law they have to put your interest first. And
Yes.
they don't. So my talk to my CFP Anjali. So Anjali might say, what she did, Tiffany, you're underinsured. You should get more insurance. Now, a fee-based or commission-based financial planner might sell me the insurance. Anjali, she already got her money. She gets a flat rate from me.
Right.
And so she's just telling me, girl, you need more insurance.
This is what you need to do.
Call
There you
your
go.
insurance company and see exactly. So it doesn't, she's not giving me advice based upon what can add money to her pocket, because there is nothing.
There's
else.
no
Like
conflict of
already
interest.
paying her flat fee.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There
There's
you
no
go.
conflict of interest. So you're looking for a fee only financial advisor that it's only you that's paying them. So those are because if you like fee-based folks, sometimes will get their flat fee from you, but then they also can make commissions off of things on the back end.
Right.
I'm not interested in working with someone who gets paid to sell me something. You know,
That's like
not for my
doctors.
financial
Yeah,
plan.
That's why we can't trust doctors, because doctors get paid from pharmaceutical companies to push
Yes.
medication on us.
Right.
So you walk in there
you see
with
the
a
reps?
yeah, yeah. You remember you was going to be a pharmaceutical sales rep.
I was like this close to doing
my best friend was a
sales
rep.
reps. Yeah.
And they make good money. Okay,
Yes.
those reps make good money.
Yes.
No, I
Yep.
hear you.
So Tiffany, since we're talking about the pandemic, right, and a lot of people have lost jobs, right? I want to know who in today's world really needs a financial planner, and if you don't need one, how can you prepare your life if you don't make enough income to particularly have a financial planner? What are the steps?
That's a
The first
really
thing I
great
have right now, the number one, pay yourself first. I'm putting that's going to be one of my keys to success.
Yes.
But what else can things do? What else can people do if they do not need
They
a
can
financial
sign up
planner?
for Tiffany's
Yes,
courses and
honestly,
online and all
most
that.
people don't need financial planners, because you really should have, like, ideally they say you should have about $100,000 to $250,000 worth of assets to invest. Because there are fees involved in it. It may not make sense if you don't have that much, but you have, maybe say you have a special needs child, you might need a little assistance, because there are fees associated. When it comes to your money, the closer it gets to a human hand helping you, the more expensive it's going to be.
Okay.
Like the fees. So a financial planner is the most expensive of all the help.
Okay.
Right. So you can also use something called like a robo advisor. This is an algorithm, right? So robo advisors are like I'm trying to think, like some robo, like a Vanguard has a Charles Schwab, Fidelity.
Okay.
That's when
okay.
you just go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's when you go, and you typically with a robo advisor, you will put in your you will like fill out some sort of like survey to say, I'm this old and this is my temperament and all this kind of stuff, and they will generate this is where your money should go. We're going to put it there for you. So because it's not a person, the fees are less, right?
Got you.
Right. So that's something that you can do. Or also you can do something called, it's the DIY method. And that is a brokerage firm, a discount brokerage firm. So that's like is it a Betterment? No, Betterment is not DIY brokerage firm. This is one of those firms like E-Trade, some place where you can actually pick your things yourself.
Okay.
So this is for folks who are like I think E-Trade allows you to do
E-Trade
that,
does that.
right?
Yeah.
Yep. So you can go in and say, they don't really give you much help, but they say, here are all the stocks and the bonds and everything else. You can pick those things yourself. So there's DIY if you're someone who is like, I don't mind picking myself. There's Robo where you're like, look, I just want to take a survey. Here's my $50 every month, and they put it places for you. Or there's a financial advisor. Financial advisor being the most expensive. DIY and Robo being the least expensive. Those are the fee you're looking for is usually called your expense ratio.
Right,
but
so
if you are someone, if you are during the pandemic, if you are fortunate to have excess money, and let's pull back. If you're not, there are people who are not going to have enough money even to pay for their noodle budget.
Right.
That's when you really want to get even lower to what I call your health and safety budget. That's when you have to acknowledge that somebody's not getting paid. But the things that will get paid are the things that maintain my health and the things that maintain my safety. And so I've been there before where I had to make a decision and say, Verizon, we cool, but not cooler than my health and safety. And I need my inhaler.
This is important. This is important because right now is a pandemic. People are losing jobs and they're trying to figure out how to prioritize what needs to get paid. And it's a tough feeling to say, I don't know, but Here, you're listening
You
to
just got to
someone.
go line by line.
That's
Right.
it.
Because a lot of these companies, is it safe to say that they're not reassessing or reevaluating like interest payments or fees or any of that?
Some
Are
of
they
them
making any
because
adjustments
this is
and
such a
giving
unique
leeway?
time, right? So it's such a unique time that companies are more lenient than they were before, but everybody's not being cool about it. You know?
Right.
And so you don't just stop paying. You might look and say, I've got these 10 bills, another 10 bills, these 4 bills are my health and safety bills. That's what I could afford. Everybody else, I'm gonna be
most
late,
important.
right?
Yeah.
So then the other ones you will call and say, hey, I'm having trouble. I mean, Corona, we all know. Is there something you could do to help? Many will help, but some will not because, you know, they're just whatever. They're not interested in being helpful. But here's the thing. As long as it's not going to affect your health and safety, will it affect your credit score? Yes, but credit scores can be fixed. At one point, my credit score was a 547.
Say it again. Say it again, Tiffany.
Yeah. And guess what? I'm an 807 now, baby. What they gonna tell me? Right?
Let me tell you, they be stressing me out with that whole credit thing. And then there's Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, this, that, and then those apparently are not even like your actual credit score. You have to get it from like, you know, TransUnion or whoever. So.
Well, the best site that I found, because those are credit scores, but there are so many types of credit scores. Right. The most used is your FICO score. That's the most common. And if you have a good FICO score, you likely have a good score every place else. So I tell people, look at that. And the website that I like is, what is it called? Oh, creditscorecard.com. It's because when I was thinking about getting a mortgage, I went to Discover owns it. I don't work with Discover, but Discover owns it. But I will say that they don't require you to give them a credit card. You don't have to have a Discover card.
Right.
But what I liked about it is that when I pulled my credit score and my mortgage guy pulled my credit score, it was the same. So I was like, y'all legit. So what did I say?
Creditscorecard.com.
Scorecard.com.
Got it. Okay.
But just like use because they will be emailing you. Just use one of your little junkie account.
Right.
So I don't worry about your credit in times like this unless you're gonna buy a house soon or car soon during pandemic. You're not. Right. So I would not worry about that. Instead, worry about your health and safety bills. Everyone else can wait. And if you find that the people that you're forcing to wait start harassing you via the phone, because they are apt to do. I have been harassed many a time via the phone. They will call you, your mama, and your cousin and them. Right. So I went right down to Staples with my last little 75 cents and faxed the cease and desist letter, which is free online. Okay.
Get the template.
Cease and desist letter. For real. Literally, I Googled it, was like, dear beep, please stop calling me at these numbers.
Facts.
You may email me and you may mail me. Just because you owe someone, it doesn't give them the right to harass you.
Facts.
It doesn't give them the right
these are the tips.
These
are the tips people need to hear, because for your mental health, you need to understand how to get people to stop harassing you, number one, and two, understand to prioritize your physical health so you can actually get back to work when the pandemic is done.
Health and finances are like intermingled.
People are not prioritizing what's important. They're worried about their credit score. They're worried about what people might say if I have to call and ask for help. So they're spreading themselves thin and stressing out, trying to do things that's not going to help them.
And tricking up all your money. I'm telling you, I wish I would have told, 29-year-old Tiffany at the time, like, yo, leave their money. You're like, they can wait. Like that, the bank can wait. The worst they're going to do is they're going to bring your credit score down. And guess what? 5 years, girl, you're going to be back and better than ever.
Man, look, Tiffany, I wish Tiffany would have told me.
Right?
I know.
Tiffany, where were you at?
And right, I was like, shoot, where was I at for me?
Yo, 2009, you know how many things I was trying to pay off to keep my credit score up? Spending money, not having no cash, stressed out,
keeping your credit
stomach
score
hurting.
up, knowing that we still ain't going to have the capital to buy nothing or put down no down payment on a house. So it was like, what's the point?
I will say this.
Yes.
So the point, a credit score, if there's one thing you could sacrifice, if there's one thing you could say, you know what, you could go, is your credit score, because of all the things, all the money things, the debt, the savings, the budget, of all the money things, credit score is the easiest to manipulate up.
Okay.
So if there's a list of things to worry about, oh my God, my budget, my debt, credit score should be at the bottom, because there's so many tips and tricks to raising your credit score. I'm not worried. If my credit score dropped to 600, I would say, okay. Because guess what? Give me 6 months, give me a year, I'll be right back at 800. That is the least of your worries. Unless you are trying to buy a house right now.
Right.
Which, if you are in financial turmoil, I don't know why
you're not trying to.
Right. Exactly.
I like
Before
that
we
one.
move on to the listener letter, I had one question for you, Tiffany. I grew up in a household where, like, my mom, my grandmother, they were a part of. I'm not sure if it's something similar you guys have, or a susu, a partner.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, mom, can I get such and such? Yeah, wait till my partner draw. Like, that was the thing. So I've seen that there are some things popping up now, like the savings flowers and things like that, and it sounds kind of
similar.
It's similar, but it also kind of seems a little pyramid scheme-ish to me. And we heard of one recently where it's like you put a certain amount of money in, and then you as you bring people in, you get more. So it's almost like a susu partner / pyramid scheme. I'm not sure how to dissect it, but are these things legitimate, and do they work in a time like this? And if not, what can people do instead if they're looking to kind of help each other out with the saving system?
So, as a child of immigrants, I'm so pissed when they call that stuff susu partner. It's not. What my mom and your mom and all the other immigrant parents that were doing was legit. It was a group of people. Because I bet you it was with your aunties, your uncles.
All of them.
Yeah. Because if Auntie Sue didn't have her money, they was going to her house.
They was going to find her. My grandmother even had one on her job. Like, on her job, it was like a couple of her coworkers. It's like, okay. And if somebody was like a couple of hours late with the drop or the pick off, it was like,
because you knew everyone in it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So susus are different because with susu, you're not actually making money. You're passing the same amount of money around. So if a susu round is finished, meaning like the 5 people eventually get money, the same money that you put in is the same money you eventually get out.
Yes.
It's just savings. It's just like I put my money in, 5 months from now I see my full money back. So susu is a great way, especially for Black and brown folks and immigrant folks, to have a way to save and to have access to capital to do things when they likely would not from the bank. Yes. So susus are totally
without
legit.
Interest and all that extra stuff.
Exactly. So the key to a susu is it's a legit susu when it's the same group of people. You don't have to add new people to get paid.
To make money, right?
The moment that everyone has to continuously add folks to get paid, now you're in a pyramid scheme, regardless of what they call it.
Right.
So if I have to add random folks, because you have to ask yourself, I had a friend who did it. She said, I put in, $2,000, I got back 10. And she was like, oh, Tiff is legit. I said, it's a scam, girl. She said, how's it a scam? I got paid. I said, hello, people get paid via scam.
Right.
Like, because then we wouldn't scam.
Right.
Like someone's going to snatch your purse and they going to get off on, they're like, okay,
someone got paid.
Right.
Yes. So I asked her, I said, if you put in 2,000 and you got back 10, where did that 8,000 come from?
Right.
Did y'all invest it?
Right.
Did y'all put in the business?
Right.
Where did that magical 8 come from? You know where that magical 8 came from? It came from 4
other people
fools that ain't gonna get their money.
Right.
I said, you just came up.
You just came up.
And so that's the thing. Like, you have to continuously add new people. Eventually, there's a threshold where there's not enough people who are willing to fall for it anymore, and that's when it falls. And the early people got paid, but and you never know you don't know if you early, you don't know if you late, but the late people, they never know that they're late ones. They're the ones that lose their 2,000, their 200, whatever dollars.
Wow.
So I tell people, yes, you can get lucky and maybe get one round off, but is it worth it? If you already tight for cash, who want to throw away $200 for a hope I get my money?
The hope,
Stay away from those. Yeah, from those, like, if you have to, like I said, it's okay. If you have a definite circle, it's the 5 of us. It's the 10 of us. Now we're going to start this susu.
Right.
That's okay. But it's the 10 of us, and every person has to bring in 10, and those 10 have to bring in 10, and those now we're talking about
pyramid.
It's a pyramid. Okay. And eventually somebody gonna get ripped off.
Gotcha.
Eventually,
right, exactly.
And it'll be your mama too that you bring in, and she'll put her money in, and then it falls apart. She's looking at you like you said it's
now we
legitimate.
Owe all these people.
Yo, and let me tell you something.
People
try to make pyramid schemes seem like it's an immigrant thing. Bernie Madoff ran a pyramid scheme. All he did was rob Peter to pay Paul, and he continued to get millions of dollars from people, and then paid the people that he brought in first.
Talk about it.
Made them think they were making money, and then they just kept bringing more people. And so ultimately, that's it. Ultimately, somebody's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. It clicked.
I don't see any.
That would have been DeVal. DeVal would have sniffed him out. Like, wait a second.
You can tell. You can look at people and tell.
Look when it came out. It came out though. That scheme came out when stimulus checks came out. If you notice, people are the original scam artists, the one who plants the seed. They're like, they do it during refund time.
Yes.
They did it during stimulus check time because they know people have coin and
have cash.
Time to dust off the blessing loom. Yeah. And then came in at the blessing loom. I said the devil is a liar.
A whole liar.
But I'm gonna put that as one of my things. Avoid scams.
Right.
When you get into times of economic strife, that's when most of the biggest scam artists come out, like you said.
Right.
Yes.
So people make a little bit of money from a stimulus check or a tax return, and like, I gotta make some extra money.
Right.
Let me give it to this unsavory fellow over here with the slick back hair. He said he can quadruple my money in 2 days.
Yeah.
Avoid scams.
Out of nowhere.
Yes.
Exactly.
He looks a bit smarmy to me.
Yeah.
All right. Before we move into Tiffany, I just really want to touch quickly on any services that you offer, any special services. Let people know, of course, anything that you're doing during COVID to help, any programs you may have, anything online, any courses. Where can people find you to educate themselves if they're looking for particular things with finance?
Yes, no, absolutely. Thank you. So I am the Budgetnista at thebudgetnista.com and just the Budgetnista on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. But I do have an online school called the Live Richer Academy, and it's specifically for women. Although we do have some guys who are like, I don't give a damn, I'm in here.
That would be me.
I'm trying to save this money.
That would be me. I'm not playing.
Right. And so, so we have all these amazing experts that come in and teach typically a weekly class on everything from negotiating to buying real estate to wholesaling to starting a business to starting a nonprofit to, literally we just had someone who came on, she makes money doing voiceovers. And so she came to teach us how to do that. So every week we have these amazing experts come in who are experts in their field, teach these awesome classes about how they do what they do and how you can too. And then you get to join this awesome group. Right now it's our private Facebook group. There's about 40,000, if not more, members of the Literature Academy. So, because I believe that we work best in community. So there's 3 things that you need for success: knowledge, which the Academy provides, because when you know better, you do better.
Right.
Access, you get access through folks. So I bring people who normally charge $2,000, $3,000, $10,000 to basically donate their time, and as a result, you get access to people who you might not otherwise be able to afford.
Absolutely.
In that community.
There
right?
You
want to have accountability.
Yes.
People who are going to encourage you to keep you going.
Yes.
So if you're interested in joining the Literature Academy, I've got a 40% off link. You can go to literatureacademy.com to learn more, but don't sign up there because it's full price there. So the 40% off link is joinlra.com. That's JOINLRA for literatureacademy.com, and join our 40,000 members and learn to take your life and finances to the next level.
There you go. Because think about it. 10 years ago, Sister Tiffany,
look.
built this 8-figure business now.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
From
Girl.
preschool teacher to now. Because that's what
Girl.
I said. Let me tell you that I just did a live last night. Like, how did I go from here to here? And you know what it was? Guidance.
Yes, guidance.
That's it.
It's you need mentors, and so that's why it's in the academy on purpose that I'm not the only teacher. I barely teach on purpose,
right?
Because I said, who helped me get here? Oh, Sandy. Who helped me get? Oh,
Right.
Tila.
There you go.
So I literally brought my guides with me to teach these classes, because I'm like, how did I get to 7 figures when I lost my house, my condo, and I owed $220 on it? I had a credit card debt of $35,000, student loan debt of $52,000. I owed almost $300,000 in debt. How do you get there from 10 years ago to a 7-figure net worth now and an 8-figure a year company? How? With no debt. I don't have no debt. I'm debt free like my 4-year-old nephew Roman.
Yes.
Like, I have 2 homes, no mortgage.
There you go.
My husband has a car, I have a car, no car note.
Right.
How? And it's through guidance, and I put that into the academy.
That's
and,
amazing.
And I have a podcast too. Me and my friend Mandy. It's called Brown Ambition.
Yes.
Yes.
And so we talk about being Black and brown women, and how do you manage your finances during times like this, especially, but in your Black and brown skin.
That's a whole financial tribe.
That's ultimately why it was so important to have you on and to continuously have you on because of access. Number one, I feel blessed that I know who you are, Tiffany, because now that I'm making money, and even when I was making a little bit of money, I could learn from someone how to make my little bit a lot. Because people think that you have to have a lot in order to make. No, you can have a little bit and build to ultimately live in abundance.
And we have to build from scratch because we were not afforded the luxuries of having anything passed on, trusts, and
and also, you don't have to have a super special talent, dribble a basketball, dance, sing, rap, act. You don't have to have a special talent in order to live in abundance and be able to create wealth for your family. You are an example of that. Tiffany, I don't think you even know how much I appreciate you always coming on whenever we
Always,
call.
yes.
Always being
Always
open
ready
to,
for us. I'm like,
yes.
Tiffany, you tired of us yet? Because we back. We back again.
No, I love it. Because to me, the more people, I want our people to hear this message.
Yes.
I want them to know that you literally have everything you need in you to succeed.
Yes.
That is the voice that I heard inside me when I lost everything. And I was like, yo, I don't even know what to do. It was, Tiffany, you have everything inside you need to succeed. I am good at one thing, and that's teaching.
There you go.
And I was able to take that and to flip it again and monetize it and flip it.
Yes.
To your point of, you don't have to know how to dribble a ball, sing it. Everyone is good at something.
Yes.
That is your bank account.
Yes.
You can tap into that bank, pull and withdraw money, and then reinvest.
There you go. Make those deposits, baby. They're important. And I will tell you, Tiffany, since the first time we spoke, remember my theory was budgets were made to be broken. No longer do I feel that way.
She's
Devout, talk about it.
No, I'll give you. I will definitely give you your props. I'll definitely give you. She has definitely been a lot more cognizant of the money coming in, how it goes out. We've created multiple. I listen to you. We've created multiple facets for income, but also outcome. So we have different. We have different accounts.
We had to diversify things a bit,
so that she puts certain money away immediately that she's not going to touch it. I'm like, wow, you really
are. Be looking at me like,
yes, because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, like, you want to really be able to like ball for real.
Yes.
Let me tell you, yes.
Like, you want to be able to see, like, yo, when I get a thing, I get a thing.
Yes.
It's
and
like,
don't have to regret
I want to be able to, like, if I want to get my mom diamond earrings, I'm like, all right, it's nothing.
Right.
You got it. I'm not swiping my card. Or if I am, I know it's because I'm putting the money right back on.
There you go.
Right.
That's it.
So, like, I don't want to just look wealthy. I want to be
wealthy.
Yep.
Yes.
I love that. And now it's time for my favorite part of the show, because I love to hear from y'all. Listener letters.
And she nosy.
And I'm nosy, low key. I just want to know, like, what y'all going through? Can I help? Can I be of assistance? Can I give my 2 cents? There you go. Speaking of sense and money, we have Tiffany still on. She's going to talk to us with these listener letters, give her 2 cents as well. But before we do that, we wanted to do really quickly, maybe like 2 or 3 takeaways, Tiffany, of people who are now in this position where they're trying to rebuild.
Yes.
And I just lost my question, Deval. What was my question?
No, well, I mean, first of all, I was supposed to ask the question.
You were supposed to ask the question. My bad.
So she tried to steal my question, Tiffany.
My bad. That's why I wasn't even going as planned. Because I wasn't supposed to ask it. That's
You're
why
a scammer. You be trying to steal my question. That's what you are. I don't trust you.
We might have a whole episode on that
pyramid
part.
Scheme, right? Pyramid scheme questions.
Yes. That's you. You the pyramid scheme of questions.
My bad. I was like, that was not my question.
No.
I got a different question. Go ahead.
The biggest thing that I think people want to know from Tiffany is you lost your job in the pandemic. You don't know what your savings looks like because you wasn't prepared. How do you begin to rebuild?
Okay, right.
Like that's just the big thing. How do you begin to rebuild during this time?
Yeah.
Well, one, you first begin by hunkering down and getting rid of non-essential expenses, like I mentioned before.
Okay.
Then 2, you have to look for ways to make income. Is it that you're going to start looking for jobs? Like, honestly, Facebook groups are my fave. Like, a lot of times when I'm looking to hire someone, I will jump into small business groups. And I will jump in and say, hey, I'm looking for. So if you join like a Facebook group with small business owners and entrepreneurs, it's a great space, because so many times entrepreneurs are looking for digital folks. I'm looking for a bookkeeper. I'm looking for an admin. I'm looking for, so look to see what immediate ways can you start making money, especially digitally. My sister, super smart engineer, but she's like, girl, I don't have no job right now. So what she did was she was like, you know what? I can be a consultant, instantly register her business as an LLC. And now is looking, she is a Black woman, I think minority owned business in a small business, right? So registered as that. And she found a contract for a school that was looking for some sort of types of classes to be taught. Right. She's not a teacher, but what she did was then she went online, found a curriculum that she could purchase. It was like, okay, hold up on that. Then she found a young woman who's a teacher who said, I'll teach it. So now she's writing the contract for a couple 6 figures.
Wow.
And it's gonna pay, it's gonna pay $2,000 for this as soon as, if she gets it, then she will pay $2,000 for the curriculum, right? And then she will likely pay that the young teacher, maybe say like $50,000, but who wouldn't want that? Right. And then she could potentially keep $150 for herself. But do you see how you have to pivot now?
Yes.
How can I make money. What are things that I'm good at that I can then monetize? Right now, maybe it's tutoring. You went to school, you're an engineer, you were really good at math. People need tutor. These babies at home don't know. They're not learning nothing.
Yes. We have one for Jackson
instantly
girl.
Right now, you need to be racking your brain of how you can bring income into your house. And then once that happens, so you're getting rid of the excess, figuring out how you can bring income into your house, and then stacking as much of it as possible. So those are the three things that I would be focused on right now if I'd lost everything during the pandemic and I was trying to regain my footing.
That's amazing.
I wrote all of those down. I'm going to reiterate those on my moment of truth, but I got you. So we got number 1, get rid of non-essential expenses. Number 2, look for digital ways to make money. And number 3, save as much as possible. That's how you can start getting back on your feet. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to listen to these steps, whether you are making money or not making money, because even if you're making money, you can make more money by doing these 3 things right here.
And listen, y'all ain't going nowhere right now, or we shouldn't be at least. So spending the money that you would have on that outing or on that outfit or on the hairstyle or on whatever it was that you would have had to do because you were out there being entertained or entertaining people. Like, now's the time we're all at home. Let's try to make sure that we're just saving some money in the process, Thank you so much, Tiffany. I'm going to move into the next newsletter, but I don't think it'll necessarily apply to Tiffany, so we can let you go. Yeah, we won't hem you up no longer than we've had you on here, girl. As much as we love to keep you around and kiki and whatnot, we'll let you go. So again, remember to find Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista, on all platforms, right? Pretty much for the most part. Awesome. Yeah. Sounds good.
We appreciate you, homie.
We appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Take care.
Right, bye-bye.
All right. All right, so listener letter. Well, this is the first one, technically. We just wanted to make sure we had some takeaways for y'all that Tiffany was so gracious to bless us with.
Yes.
So listener letter for the day says, my husband and I are preparing for the birth of our first child. Exciting. We've watched this documentary called The Business of Being Born.
Yes, watched it.
So did we, and was blown away by the information. We would like to get a midwife, but with me being 8 months pregnant, I think it's too late. It just might be, sis.
Yeah.
We're already planning for baby number 2. My question is, how did you guys budget for paying for your midwife? And what were some of the hurdles you had to jump through with insurance? Isn't it amazing that you always got to jump through hurdles when you paying insurance monthly out your check? I mean, they taking their money, but there's still always hurdles to jump through.
We talk about scamming. Insurance is one of the biggest scams in America.
Facts.
Insurance is one of the biggest scams.
Facts.
Because they can take money out of your check and they'll take you'll pay them monthly even for car insurance. But they'll decide that they don't want to cover you no more and just drop you. And then you don't get none of that money back.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
So when time came for Deval and I to make the decision to have a midwife with our pregnancy with Kaz, that was, like we've spoken before on the podcast, with our midwife, that it was a decision that we came to based on my prior experiences and wanting something different, wanted to be in control of my labor and delivery and my birth story. So in finding the midwife that we did find, luckily I was able to get a hold of her when I was maybe about 3 to 4 months pregnant. I was seeing my OBGYN at the time while I was still doing my research and kind of vetting the perfect fit for us. And when I did find her, it was early enough on. I know some midwives like to know your entire pregnancy history, so that may be the reason why the first pregnancy you weren't able to have one and it being too late. But it's great. The good thing that you said in this is that you're planning already for baby number 2.
Yes.
So with the planning of baby number 2, and I'm, of course, doing your research with the midwife and your options for the home birthing process, or if you're going to have a midwife in the hospital, because that's a thing too, you're planning now to be able to budget for and pay for the midwife, because some insurance companies do not see your midwife as an actual necessity.
Yes.
I forget the term or the actual name. I know Takia, my midwife, would know. But they don't necessarily see them as a necessity or someone
they call it an elective.
Elective, that's the word. So they're an elective professional. So Deval and I knew what her costs would be.
Yeah.
We knew what the insurance company was potentially going to pay out.
Right.
And it was on her to then submit, her meaning our midwife, to submit the claims. And I know that it was a very long, arduous process for her, because she had to continue to resubmit and show this and show proof of that. And I think ultimately when it came down to it,
she still didn't get paid in full.
No. We were required, in order to secure her for the pregnancy, we had to pay out of pocket, which we just saved for. But
part of the reason why she didn't get paid in full, now listen to this bullshit. The insurance company said because we had a baby 15 years prior.
15 months
15
prior.
months prior that we had too many children within the time span for them to cover an elective procedure for childbirth.
As if to say, sis, like,
Slow down.
Yeah, slow down.
You having too many kids.
You had a kid within a certain time frame that does not allow for us to pay for another whole baby.
That is just the
And I'm just
biggest
like,
load of
where do you
crap.
do that at? Like, where is that
In America, that's where they do that at.
True. That is absolutely true. Unlike other countries like Canada or some places in Europe where you're just able to have all of the health care that you need.
Scam America. That's what I'm calling it from now.
So when it came down to budgeting, we pretty much knew what our down payment, I guess you can call it, would be for our midwife. And knowing that this was a priority, it then became a thing where we had to pivot. And I would use a part of Tiffany's, logic here with, going down to the essentials now. So this became a part of our essential budget.
Yes.
And we knew that, okay, money was coming in every month. This is money that we had to put down towards our midwife fund because that at the time for us was a priority. So there was rent, there was car note, there was, eating, and there was midwife. Like, those were the main things that we wanted to make sure that we had taken care of.
And I'm not sure. I think it was 8,000 was for a midwife. Was it 8,000?
No, I think it was definitely more than that. Maybe closer to like 10 or 15. I forget
It wasn't 15,000.
No?
No, it was 8 to 10,000.
Okay.
It was either 8 to
midwife
10,000
home
for a
birth.
midwife home birth, but
Yeah,
it wasn't.
don't
it wasn't
quote
much
us on
more than
that. But whatever it was, we did have to put down a percentage of it, and I know that the balance of that, which we tried to submit to the insurance company, she never really fully got.
No, so we had to put down
it.
3,000.
Right.
We had to put down 3,000, and the insurance company was supposed to pay. She was approved to get it paid. The rest through the insurance company. So we delivered cash, everything happened, and then we kept following up. Hey, did you get paid? She kept asking us for more paperwork.
Right.
And the insurance company refused to pay.
Right. And it was pretty much at that point, we felt badly because it was like she kind of had to just take an L.
Right.
And that was apparently something that she was accustomed to.
That's
Whereas
why
we
she
were,
takes the down payment.
Yeah, where we were so apologetic, like, oh my God, like, what do I have to do? Do I have to call my insurance company? You want to raise hell because you're just like trying to be an advocate for her. And she kind of was just like, yeah, this is just what happens, in the world of midwifery. So it's a shame because I feel like women should be afforded the opportunity to labor and have their baby however they see fit and be covered.
It's a shame, but let's be honest. Let's think about the country we live in. And as great as America is, everything is a business, right? So if you watch the business of being born and how important it is for women to go to hospitals, quote unquote, so that they can continue to make money within their business, they're not going to make it easy for you to find a midwife.
Yeah, because they're going to say, hey, you're going to have to now pay this money out of pocket. Why don't you just go to the hospital where it's all covered 100%?
So bottom line is there are going to be a lot of hurdles. Do not let that deter you from doing what you think is right spiritually, emotionally, and physically for your wife, because giving birth is not only a traumatic experience, it's an esoteric experience, a divine experience between your family and the Creator.
Right.
And you should not allow any business or any institution get in the way of bringing forth a life into this world as peaceful as possible. So for me, there's no amount of money that I'm not willing to spend to make sure that my wife is safe and my children are safe.
Right. And the funny thing, you say it's a traumatic experience, but it shouldn't be a traumatic experience. It should be a great experience.
Yes.
And not to downplay the role of doctors who are, very important.
Absolutely.
And they have their purpose. And, you need doctors there to intervene, particularly when there are emergencies that arise. You just never know. There's so many unpredictable things. But you have
to separate the difference between a doctor and the business of being a doctor.
Absolutely.
Doctors are very essential because your doctor, your GYN, is freaking amazing. It's amazing.
Loved her.
Even doctors go back and forth with healthcare providers, and they go back and forth with the institutions of hospitals. So it's not even about doctors versus midwives.
Right.
It's more about the institution of childbirth and the business they've created around
Absolutely,
it. So.
I just wanted to be clear because sometimes there is the world of doctors versus midwives and whatnot. That don't got nothing to do with me. I just want to make sure that when I have my experience, that I'm well prepared and I'm well versed.
That's fair.
And you know what I mean? That we're making the proper steps to be able to ensure that the process is as smooth as possible because there's so many unknowns when it comes to birthing. I think that's all we got for y'all today, which was a whole mouthful. If you'd like to be featured on Deadass Podcast as one of our listener letters, be sure to email us at deadassadvice@gmail.com. Spell it out for DeVal.
That's DEADASSADVICE.com.
Alrighty, baby. A moment of truth.
So listen.
Moment of truth time.
This is my moment of truth, okay? During times of economic crises is when the majority of the economic juggernauts you see today have been built. So let's be prepared as a people to capitalize on what's happening right now. Don't capitalize on the pain, because it's a lot of pain for people during this pandemic. But what we can do as a people is capitalize on these opportunities. Number one, pay yourself first. Your
That's
savings
the big one.
plan, 30% of your gross is ideal. Is that realistic for everybody? No, but it's ideal. Number two, understand that your credit scores can be easily manipulated. With that being said, do not lose any sleep over not paying a bill on time.
Facts.
That is not going to directly affect your health, your safety,
and your wellness. For
especially your mental health. Because
Absolutely.
these bill collectors will have you going crazy thinking that your whole life will come to an end if you do not pay them on time. When the truth of the matter is, you can pay them when you're ready. Listen to what Tiffany said. Get a cease and desist order so they stop calling you and your family.
Facts. Be like, stop harassing me.
Number three, use group economics. People call them susus.
Right.
What was the other term?
Partner. Make
Partner.
sure to partner.
Use group
Comes
economics.
through.
If you need a large sum of money, get within the people in your group that you trust. Develop a susu where everyone pays into the susu, and if you need the lump sum of money at a certain time, you know that your take happens on a certain day so you can get something paid. For example, if you have a child in college and you have to get that tuition paid on time, there are certain ways you can use group economics amongst the people around you so you don't have to borrow money from the bank.
Exactly. Cutting out that middleman,
You see
cutting
what I'm
out the
saying?
interest, all that.
There's no interest. When you use group
go.
economics, there's no interest. You don't have to pay more than what you receive.
And do it with people you trust. Don't be
Yes.
finding random people to to do these with.
Exactly. Number four.
You got mad moments.
Hold on,
This is the moment.
This is important. This is important.
Go ahead, but I love it. Go
Number
ahead.
four, we already said prioritize your health. Because if you don't put your health first, when things do start to get on the upswing and you're not healthy, you can't perform. You can't even get a job because you're not healthy. So you must prioritize your health. That ultimately goes with knowing that your credit score can be manipulated, so not stressing over bullshit. But lastly, number five, avoid scams. There are a lot of people out here right now being scammed because they prey on the fact that people don't have jobs. So when you get your stimulus check or you get a little bit of extra money, don't look for the quick fix. Most of the times when you're emotional and you look for the quick fix is when people can take advantage of you.
It's true.
So understand these are the things you can do to get out of this rut that we're in right now, this economic rut. Like Tiffany said, her 3 points was get rid of non-essential expenses, look for digital ways to make money, and to save as much as possible. Please, I hope you had a pen and a paper and you wrote all of these things down, and we can come out of this way better than we came in.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's funny. Your long moments of truth led me to my moment of truth, which was...
Thank you.
This is a perfect segue.
I tend to
we
do
act
that
like we did
sometimes.
this before. Like we
what
be
I'm saying?
bouncing back and forth.
That's what we do. It's like ping pong.
You be trying
know
to
what I'm
compliment my swag. my wasn't good. But
No.
anyway, I would like to leave you all with this one question. And this is something that Tiffany started with. We know that the recession will probably happen in another decade. We don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. Where will it meet you? Ask yourself that. Where will it meet you? Because it's going to happen.
She thinking.
History has shown
She thinking.
that it happens. So when it happens again, where will it meet you? Use this opportunity to cultivate, to do your research, to build your financial tribe of people who are assisting
Yes.
you in whatever way. And they may not be assisting you by giving you money, but they have a certain area of expertise within this whole financial realm that they can assist with. Build your financial tribe and figure out and know where you want this next recession to meet you. Hopefully with more money in your budget than the noodle budget.
Damn it, baby.
The ramen noodle budget. The ramen noodle every
I
now
just
and
fell
again.
in love with you again
Yeah.
listening to that moment of truth.
Oh, thank you, baby.
Whew.
I mean, listen.
Yeah, and you look good today. Got your face made up. We got our promo video we doing
Thank
today. So you see she got on the extra makeup.
It'll be out and launched. Y'all have been seeing it.
The
you
extra
know.
hairs.
You know, exactly. I gotta make sure I'm blotting
The
too,
extra
you know, shiny.
eyelashes.
You know.
Every time you blink, I feel like a gust of wind. It just be like, whoo.
You know, I'm doing this for y'all. This is all for you. This is all for y'all. You know what I'm saying? And make sure, because I've been looking crazy in quarantine, so I'm gonna use any opportunity.
You ain't been looking that crazy. You still been looking good.
I've
Go
been
ahead and
using
block.
any
Go ahead and block that
opportunity
upper
to
lip.
get my glam squad together.
I can always tell
You
when
know?
Kay is starting to sweat a lot. She get this sweat that just settles right here in this What is this called right here?
The Cupid's bow.
The Cupid's bow right here.
Bow,
She gets some
the
sweat that be
laugh
sitting there.
lines.
Right
You know, I be trying to fight Father Time with DeVal here, but I was talking to one of my makeup artist friends, and I was like, man, these laugh lines, you know, always get shiny up in there. And she's just like, well, that just means that you're a happy person and your husband always makes you laugh and smile. And I was like, look at you looking at the bright side of things.
You see that?
Meanwhile, let me get some blot powder.
Only my wife would find a way to complain about laughing all the time. God damn it, DeVal, you giving me too many laugh lines. Stop making me smile.
Listen, I'll be just doing all this with the moisturizer. All right. So anyway, be sure to follow us on social media, please. Deadass the podcast, where you can, comment and share and let everybody know what's going on Instagram. And of course, Kadeen, I am.
And I am DeVal. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Deadass, baby.